Hey guys, it's Tim Shermack, and welcome back to another episode of the Platform Marketing Show. I'm joined this morning by Kate Garza, who's in Rockdale, Texas. Kate, welcome to the show.
Good morning. How are you?
So, we're pretty excited. I want to start right with this win. It's one of those situations where it almost sounds too good to be true. So, I'm glad we're having you on the podcast to talk about this, because if I was just bragging about the results and talking about the results that you've seen with the platform marketing strategy, I think honestly, a lot of agents wouldn't believe me. They would think that I'm making it up.
Yeah.
Just as a full disclaimer, we always tell people when you sign up a platform, give it 6 months to work. This is a long-term marketing strategy. It takes time to work, and we're upfront about that. We don't want to promise people unrealistic results in the first month or two or anything, because most people who join platform usually takes them 6 to sometimes even 12 months to see the full scope, the community brand building.
Yeah.
And how long it takes that to kick in. But every once in a while, we have someone who just kicks ass right out of the gate and gets results right away. And Kate, you are one of those people. So at the time we're recording this actually sounds crazy coming out of my mouth, but you've only been a client for 2 weeks.
Yes.
Like, you've only been running ads, a platform, for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And Kate, would you mind sharing the results you've had just in the first 2 weeks of joining the platform marketing program?
Yeah. So I was really pleasantly surprised. I've added over the exact amount actually is $2.62 million to my pipeline. And that does not include the leads that have been coming in from the lead forms on Facebook. I have been following up with them, but these are individuals that have called me directly. Within the first week, I got my first listing. Our median sales price here in Rockdale and Milam County is about $200,000. This one, actually, the listing is at $825,000. So it was very substantial for me. It's actually the biggest listing that I've had thus far. I've got 3 buyers that I'm working with, pre-approved. We've already been showing and looking at some of the properties that we have here. I also got a renter. I typically don't work renters, so I was able to refer that one out to an agent on our team that does really well with those. So yeah, $2.62 million to my pipeline just in 2 weeks.
And that's not even counting all the other leads that have come in that you're still kind of like following up with and kind of seeing where they're at. That's just what you've confirmed so far is basically business actively in the pipeline. That's amazing. So Rockdale's a small town. You said it's about an hour from Austin, an hour from College Station. So you're kind of in Central Texas. I know it's a very small town.
Yeah.
Had you done real estate marketing before? Were you running any paid advertisements or billboards or Facebook ads or Google? Or, what was the business plan or what was the marketing plan before platform?
So I did everything by myself. I had some experience in social media marketing prior to becoming a real estate agent, and I think that really helped me a lot. I had a schedule where once a week I would do a property video. These were vertical videos that I was doing, reels of less than a minute long, just a property tour. I was trying to showcase different businesses, and I would try to do that 1 to 2 times a month at least. I did try actually doing some pay leads for just a couple of months, and I heard that I was going to be the only one in that territory. I actually had a friend that was in my neighboring territory, and when she joined doing the same thing, magically all those leads went away. So I only did that for a couple of months. I really didn't pay for any marketing though. I had maybe tried once or twice to do some Facebook ads, but I had no idea what the heck I was doing. And I also didn't have the time to really go over those analytics and see what was going on with that. So that was very short lived. But I never paid for any marketing before. Aside from paying for like my for sale signs and things, that was it. I tried to get out into the community as much as possible and go from there.
And that's kind of actually how we met in that. I think we had a mutual friend who owned or owns a bookstore actually in your community. And he had just mentioned, hey, there's this real estate agent that comes in here. And I had said, oh, cool, well, you should connect me. Because obviously at Platform, what we do is we work with real estate agents. And he told me, yeah, she's really active in the community. She's kind of highlighted our bookstore. And I was like, oh, awesome. It sounds like she's already kind of doing the platform marketing strategy, like unofficially, but she's trying to do it on her own. And then we got connected, it was probably several months ago. I remember when we spoke on the phone and you were like considering, do I want to join this platform thing or not? Your biggest concern was kind of like, well, I've done it myself up until now. and it seems to be working well. Do I really want to spend money on this when I've been doing it, on my own? So I'm really glad that in the first month you've seen such a quick return on investment that you now, okay, 100% like this is working.
Yeah. Well, and I want to tell you a funny story about that. So, Richard, I met him. They had just put a bookstore in town. Our small town is growing. There's a lot of economic development, and their bookstore is kind of a gem in our town. And I'm a big reader. My family, we love reading. Our kids love reading. And I go into this store, it's a weekend. I wasn't planning on taking a video or anything. And I walk in immediately and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to share this with people. And I just got to chatting with them. They were super sweet. And over time, we've developed a relationship. And I know you know, as well as other agents know, this is a business of relationships and networking. And so it was very natural for me. And that is something that I do try to just do, are things that are natural. But Richard had reached out to me and he said, hey, I know this marketing company. It's a good friend of mine. Their daughter had worked for you guys. And when he said that, he was wanting to know if he could put me in touch with you. And he said that, and I was like, well, I wasn't really excited about it. I'll be very honest with you, but I'm a very honest person. When he said that, I was like, gosh, man, I really don't want to talk to another marketing company because, as you well know, our phones are blowing up. Our email inbox is full of people that have the best marketing tactics in the
Yep.
whole entire world. So I spoke on the phone with you out of what I felt was kind of an obligation because they had been so kind. We had developed such a great relationship. I knew they were telling people about me. And even in the text that he sent introducing us, I was like, my gosh, he speaks so eloquently about me. And he really says all the things that I try to be, in our community. And so I was like, well, they do really nice things for me. So I'm just going to kind of entertain
Yeah,
it.
I'll just hop on this call as a favor to Richard, but I don't want to
Exactly.
be on this call.
Exactly. I was very hesitant though, because when I had spoken with you, I was already doing things in the community. I already had people recognizing me. And when I went to the grocery store, so those things were already happening for me. So in my mind, it was like, well, what are you going to offer me that I'm not, already doing? And every objection that I gave you, you were able to come back with. I also had concerns that I wasn't going to be able to maintain the level of authenticity that is super important to me. My values are important to me, integrity, and I did not want to get away from that with what I was doing. So every time I had something to say, you addressed that very, very well. And I got to a point, truthfully, where the timing was kind of right with all of this because the last couple of years, I've only been licensed for 2 years and I'm on my third brokerage, and that was within the first 2 years. So I immediately had some things that I had to change up. I found my way pretty quickly in what was working for me and what wasn't. I had a son premature last year, so I took some time off. I really was at a point at the beginning of this year where I needed to buckle down. I needed to get a plan in place. We have a ton of growth coming to our area. It's kind of a slow burn, but we're seeing it happen. And I was like, I've got to do something that is going to boost me. All the agents that are in our area have been selling real estate for a very, very long time. They're very, very well known. They work solely on referral business. So I needed to do something. I'm also not from here, side note. So I needed to do something that would kind of elevate me. And I already was, like I said, I was doing that social media. I was doing those community videos. People knew about me, but I was getting to a point where organically I felt like I had just kind of reached that place where I wasn't going to get any farther with it. I was hustling and working so hard. So it was kind of a turning point for me. And the timing of Richard letting me know about you and everything, it really fell into place perfectly. And I just had to jump in and try it. And I'm so glad that I did.
Yeah, I think you're honestly over the next 6 months to a year, Kate, you're probably going to become one of platform's biggest success stories of all time. Seeing that you've already had the results you've had in literally just the first 2 weeks, not just the first 2 months, but the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You already have nearly $3 million in volume that you can attribute directly to these ads when rates are at 7%. Like mortgage rates at the time we're recording this are at like 7%. Mm-hmm. Imagine how much business is going to boom for you and how much more ROI you'll get from those marketing campaigns when rates go down to 6.5% and eventually 6% and then the upper fives. Because right now what's happening is your ads are essentially reaching the whole community, but there's still a pretty significant percentage that loves your ads, wants to work with you, wants to buy or sell a house, but they just mathematically can't because rates are too high. So when rates come down even a little bit, your business is going to boom even more. And, if you brought in almost $3 million of volume from the first 2 weeks of these platform marketing campaigns, imagine what your business will look like 6 months from now, when you've had 6 months of time to kind of roll that snowball, and interest rates, are probably lower 6 months in the future. I mean, you're gonna have an incredible rest of the year in 2024 going into 2025. What have been the early ads that you've done, Kate? Like, obviously, like, whatever you're doing is working. So
Yeah.
what have been those first couple ads that you've launched just in these last couple weeks?
So the one that I can tell you, because I'm a numbers geek, I want to know where things are coming from. One thing I can tell you is I did the stop sign ad where I was saying that I had buyers looking for certain properties, and that one was really big. I actually got the listing that I was mentioning before. That listing came from that ad, and that individual told me that they had seen my videos and things like that before, and in that listing appointment they came in, they were already sold on me and everything, and said, I'm hiring you because of your online presence. So that one was huge. I got the other upcoming listings, two of those I can trace back to that one directly. I've done the one with the spending your dollar locally, and that one was a big success too. I've also, the one I'm really excited about that I haven't done yet is Ducks in a Row. I had a kind of a
Okay.
creative
Yep.
idea with it of getting my baby involved in a little duck costume. So it took me a little bit longer to get that one kind of going, but I've put out one listing video as of today. So those are the two, I think, bigger ads that really had a huge impact. But I will also say I'm really excited to see how the listing video goes and how the Ducks in a Row and some of those other things come out. I did a community post where it was, or ad, I'm sorry, where it was my family. We went to go get snow cones at this place that I've been taking the kids forever. My daughter's 17. And I mean, when she was a little bitty baby, she was getting snow cones there. So we were already out there doing a family weekend, and we just took the picture, and that one had some good success as well. So those are the main ones. I still actually have a few
Yeah,
that I need to send over to Emily.
I actually saw that ad, the one with the snow cones, and so
Yeah.
it's ads like that work so well when you consistently create content like that over time,
Hmm.
because those ads don't look like ads. When that
Yeah.
pops up in the newsfeed and it's like a picture of Kate and her family grabbing, a dessert on a hot Texas day, right?
Hmm.
Nothing about that has anything to do with real estate. You're
Yeah.
not mentioning new listings or what the market's doing or mortgage interest rates. It's like none of it has anything to do with real estate. So immediately what that does psychologically is it lowers people's guard. It's like,
Hmm.
oh, okay, she's not just trying to sell me something, or it's not a salesy pitch or something. It's just a picture of her and her family. And if they keep seeing photos like that over time of getting to know you, like what are your favorite restaurants, what's your favorite bookstore in the community,
Yeah.
like all these things, eventually, even if they've never met you, they sort of feel like they know you, right? They
Hmm.
feel like, hey, when I sell a house, I'm going to give Kate a call. And they're even using your first name the way that a friend would use it. I'm going to call Kate when it's time to sell a house,
Yeah.
because through this social media sequencing of these ads we're putting out, they feel like they already know you. And that's the ultimate win. That should be the purpose of any real estate agent's marketing plan. Is it's not necessarily about getting the most leads. It's about, does your marketing help people emotionally feel like they're getting to know you? Because I would rather do that 10 times out of 10 than some other plan where I get 100 leads but no one knows who I am. Because if you have leads but no one knows who you are, then those leads are no different than cold calling names out of the phone book. If they
Yes.
don't actually emotionally, psychologically feel like they know who you are. So, you know, building a brand, I think, has gotten a bad rap over the last several years, because when an advertising sales rep from the local newspaper or the local radio station or whatever pitches you on, hey, you got to build a brand, it's the importance of getting your name out there and
Yeah.
repetition. It's like, well, they kind of have an ulterior motive. They have an agenda, because of course they're going to say that, because if you become convinced that getting your name out there is important, well, then you should buy more and more radio ads or more and more newspaper ads. And so, like, there's always that agenda of why they say that. But then, people understandably are hesitant to do that because it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like putting a bunch of newspaper ads or radio ads or, whatever, all these old school marketing channels, they really don't work relative to how much money you have to put into them.
Right.
But the principle though of building a brand has never stopped being true. Like that's always been true. It's just that I think the best way of doing that now in 2024 and beyond, maybe someone's listening to this podcast episode in 2025 or even 2026, right? The principle of getting your name out there and building a local brand is still true. I just think the best way of doing that is with social media ads, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So if you embrace that, your business is going to grow. So you mentioned Rockdale. Let's talk about your market a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's small. It's what 5,000 people in the town. I mean, what's the population of the whole county? Do you know?
Our population is around 25,000 for the entire county.
Okay.
And it's just your small, typical small town Texas. We've got a lot of hard workers here, lots of small businesses. The market's been in a really interesting place the last couple of years. We recently, just over the last few months, transitioned from being in a seller's market to a buyer's market, like literally overnight. We currently have over 100 listings on the market. So there are definitely some challenges in the market, and with the relationship building, even though it's on social media for some of these people, I think that has definitely helped me get past some of those hard times that we're having with the market. And I'm really excited about it just because it gives me an opportunity to meet more people and engage with them. And like you said, they already feel like they know me. So when we're having conversations, we're just chatting as friends.
Yeah, and especially when you have to have a difficult conversation
Hmm.
where maybe someone's home isn't worth what they thought it was worth, or if you're representing a buyer and you have to tell them like, "Hey, you have a budget of 200,000, but what you're telling me you want in all of your list of must-haves, it's going to cost you closer to 250,000, and they're not prepared for that. Like they need to
Yeah.
save more down payment, they need to be comfortable with a higher monthly payment because they thought what they could whatever buy with 200,000 is actually going to take more. And
Hmm.
obviously if you're listening to this podcast episode and you're in a market where homes are 500,000, then the same dynamic is true. If someone thought the 500 would get them X, but actually they need to invest 600,000 or 650 into a home to, lots of those conversations over the last year have been happening between clients and realtors, where realtors kind of have to be the bearer of bad news and kind of give their client a dose of reality that, here's what you would need to pay to get what you think you want. Are you sure you want that? And are you willing to pay that? Like, that's not a fun conversation to have. But that's
Yeah.
also, to your point, Kate, that's where marketing helps. I think way too many people, and not just real estate agents, this is small business owners in general, they underestimate the impact that having great marketing has on the whole of the business. It's not just about lead generation. It's not just about bringing in new leads and new business. It's also about, for all the leads you currently have and the people you're actively working with right now, if
Yeah.
they respect you more because your ads position you as being a local expert, then those difficult conversations are less difficult because they're really viewing you with authority the way that someone might view their doctor if their doctor gives them bad news in an appointment or tells them something that they don't want to hear. Like, you're overweight, you have high blood pressure, you need to eat less and exercise more. That's an awkward conversation to have with someone. But if they really view you as an authority figure, the way that most people look up to a doctor, that conversation is less awkward. Most agents don't have any of that psychological advantage in their meetings with their clients because they don't really have any marketing that positions them as being the market expert like you do. So those
Hmm.
conversations are going to be easier in the future. I mean, even something like if you have a seller who is just unrealistic and they think it's still a 2021 and they think their house is worth whatever $500,000 and actually now it's worth 425,
Hmm.
and you have to talk them down. It's like, hey, like, we need to drop the price. You're like, this property is just simply not going to sell for 500. It needs to be closer to 400. That's not a fun conversation to have. No one likes being told that you're worth $100,000 less than you thought you were yesterday, right? But if you
Yeah.
have great marketing, that conversation is a little bit easier to have because they respect you more.
That's very true. And I actually had to have a very similar conversation with a client earlier in the week this week who waited a little while to list. And unfortunately, the numbers that we were able to provide 6 months ago were not the same as they are today. And she received that information much better coming from me because she already had that confidence in what I was doing. So that really does help a lot to be able to provide that to them. And it makes it to where it's a little bit more fun for me to have those conversations. It kind of gives me a good buffer. And I mean, like you said, they trust you more. They're willing to hear what it is that you have to say. And another thing is they are seeing the marketing that I'm doing. And sellers are smart, especially in today's market. They are going online, they're looking at reviews, they're looking at different things. I know when I go into a listing appointment, more than likely they've already looked into other marketing and things of that with other agents. So for me to be able to have that, even though I'm having that difficult conversation, oh, we might need to do a price reduction or whatever it is, they can still look at me in confidence and know that I'm delivering what I said I was going to deliver. It's in their best interest, and they're probably going to get a better result working with me than they would have if they went with another agent.
Yeah, I mean, you just have that much more confidence going into the meeting because they've seen all the marketing you're doing, and they kind of know, like, okay, Kate's marketing is working. Like, clearly she's promoting the property, she's getting exposure. What's not working is the price.
Yeah.
And that's just a conversation you have to have with a lot of sellers, and most agents, frankly, are not putting themselves in a good position from a branding perspective to have that conversation. Because if you call up your seller and you're like, hey, we need to reduce the price, it's basically coming across as if it's just your subjective opinion.
Yeah.
And the seller will come back with all sorts of data that they find on Zillow or Google about why their house is worth more. And you as the agent know, it's like, hey, I study the market every day. Like, I know that your house is worth this. We need to drop the price if you actually want to sell it,
Right.
And to them, that just comes across as, well, that's Kate's opinion. That's just your opinion. But
Yeah.
if you have excellent marketing, and they know that, the listing video you filmed and all of the other retargeting ads that you have running across social media are being seen by, tens of thousands, if not 100,000 people a month are seeing your ads, they kind of know, okay, well, if Kate has this much marketing firepower and my home still has not sold, maybe she's right about the price. Because at that point, you've canceled out all the variables. The only thing it could possibly be is the price.
Yeah.
Most sellers don't necessarily say this explicitly, like they don't admit this out loud. Maybe they do if they're assholes, but most sellers will be thinking, oh, well, you're just not doing enough to promote it.
Yeah.
You just need to do more open houses. You need to put up balloons, or you need to, put an ad in the newspaper, or you're just not doing enough to promote it. That's why the house isn't selling. But again, if you have this epic digital marketing plan and you can bring actual digital like analytics to your seller of like, hey, here's how many views your home has had. Here's how many clicks. Here's how many people watched the video I put on social media. And if that video has tens of thousands of views, it kind of silences them because they're like, oh, wow, like you have clearly gotten a lot of eyeballs on my listing. And if it still hasn't sold, the only thing it could possibly be is price.
Yes, and there's another real life example that I had. I do a lot of pre-marketing for my listings, and I had a client not too long ago. We did a ton of pre-marketing. There was a lot of build up, and then naturally as a seller, you get really excited, and then when people aren't walking through the doors as much as you want them to, you start to get kind of anxious or wonder what's going on. And I'm really grateful that this client gave me a call, and we walked through her anxieties that she was having together. But one thing that she told me was, she said, I thought you were a marketing guru. And she was like, but no one's coming into my home. And I walked this through with her, but one question that I asked her, I said was, you had confidence in me when you hired me. You love the photography, videography, everything that we've done thus far. And I said, my question to you is, if you were to have gone with another agent, what do you think you would have gotten differently that would have had buyers coming through the door? And it was crickets chirping on the other side of that. And to be able to have her, and I gave her homework. I said, look, I want you to get online. I want you to look at different pages. I want you to see the different marketing. Let's go through this and talk about it. What it was that she needed a price reduction. The market is, just like I said, in a very different place. We've got tons and tons and tons of listings. And she also had a very unique property in size and layout and everything. So once she did her homework, because I really encouraged her to. The next day she came back. I'm so glad we had that conversation. I feel so much better about it. And to elaborate even farther, I held a second open house for her after we did the price reduction. We did start to market that a little bit. While I recorded her listing video before I joined with Platform, I did ask Emily if she would just put a little bit of ad spend behind it for me just to kind of boost it a little bit. I wasn't really in love with that video. It wasn't as creative as I wanted it to be, but I really felt like it was going to help. And lo and behold, we had our open house earlier in the week this week, and we got a buyer to come to that open house that saw the video, and she lives in Austin. So it's right there. I didn't really have, I mean, I'm not saying it didn't work, but I didn't really have to do too much on the back end of that because Platform was doing all of that for me. So she was able to see that marketing work firsthand, have her homework. She felt much better about it. So yeah, the conversations are hard. It's definitely something we have to work on, but it does lessen the load for us to have this incredible marketing behind us and this team that's working for us.
And I think that's going to become even more true in the coming months and more prevalent across the country for agents, because
Mm-hmm.
when when interest rates eventually come down, when the Fed cuts rates, I think you're going to see a lot of inventory come onto the market, because most of
Mm-hmm.
those people are people who want to buy houses, and
Yeah.
they're finally willing to take the plunge and go buy a house, but they currently live in a house, so they're like
Mm-hmm.
move up buyers, right? When that happens, they'll all be listing properties. And so normally when the Fed cuts rates in a normal interest rate cycle, a normal balanced economy, cutting rates means home prices go up because
Yeah.
people have more money, have more money to spend, and they can bid up the price of homes. I think the opposite is actually going to happen this time, because this is not a normal balanced economy. The Fed so like manipulated the real estate market by causing everyone and their grandmother to refi
Mm-hmm.
in a 2021, that it's not a balanced market. It's not a normal real estate market. And I think what will happen this time is so many buyers and sellers are sitting on the sidelines waiting for prices, or for interest rates to come down just a little bit, that when that happens, whenever it is, like I can't predict the exact month. If you were to put a gun to my head, I'd probably say the Fed cuts rates in December
Mm-hmm.
of this year is when they'll start cutting rates. But if the economy really, really slows down in the next couple months, they could possibly cut rates as quickly as September. I don't think they'll cut in September, but who knows? If the economy
Yeah.
slows down, maybe they do. But like the point is, at some point over the next 6 months, the Fed's probably going to start cutting rates. And when that happens, so many people will list their houses and get back into the market because they want to take advantage of the lower interest rates, that surge of inventory is going to cause, I think, prices to come down in many markets. Obviously, every market is local, every market's different, but in a lot of markets, you'll see prices come down because of just the surge of inventory. You mentioned Austin. Actually, Austin is a great example of that. Austin is adding inventory at twice the national average, like twice as quickly. And they're already down almost 20% from their peak prices in 2022
Mm-hmm.
because of so much inventory. So, I mean, it's a pretty established fact, right? That the more inventory you have, prices come down because buyers have more to choose from, right? It's no longer a seller's market. So, that conversation, Kate, that you just told the story of having to have that conversation with your seller that, hey, the market has shifted, it's not as tight of a seller's market anymore, your home is not probably not worth as much
Mm-hmm.
as you think it is, the market has shifted because of inventory. That's going to be a very common conversation that hundreds of thousands of agents in the coming months are going to have that conversation. And frankly, I feel bad for a lot of those agents who don't have a marketing program like Platform behind them, because you have so much more credibility when you have that conversation with your seller, because they can't just come at you and say, well, you're not promoting it enough, you're not marketing the home enough. To the exact extent that you are marketing your listings on social media, the way that we do at Platform, to the extent you do that, the conversations are just easier, because it's like,
Yeah.
hey, I got you 50,000 views or 20,000 views or 65,000 views on your listing, and yet we haven't had an offer yet. you know, the only possible thing that could be is price, and that's just a logical statement at that point.
Yeah, and sometimes sellers are not always logical, but definitely having that support behind me with the marketing helps. It also makes it easier for me to approach the conversation with them about them buying, because if they're selling right now, more than likely they're going to be buying. And I can go into that conversation about the benefits of their situation. Even from a seller's perspective, it's not the greatest, but, and that is what we're experiencing right now that you were discussing in Austin, is sellers were starting to need to sell. They'd already been waiting for rates to go down. Rates weren't going down. In our market currently, that's what many people are experiencing. They waited as long as they possibly could. Everybody listed at the same time. We've got the economic growth going on. They were hoping maybe interest rates would go down, and here we are. And we're seeing price reduction after price reduction. But again, having that kind of buffer, it allows me to take less time discussing the negative cons of having to reduce their price, and I can spend a little bit more time encouraging them about their buy process in the future. It helps tremendously. It really does, and it just makes it more fun because, as you know, real estate is not always the funnest thing in the world whenever you're having to have those conversations or deals are falling through or whatever it is that's going on. So it gives me a lot more confidence in that conversation. It makes me a lot happier to be able to do that. And I don't know that every agent can say that they feel that way about those conversations.
Change of topic here, but one other thing I wanted to discuss is how active you are in your community. Because when we first spoke on the phone about you potentially joining the Platfam, one reason I just knew that you were going to be successful, because I think if you remember, I told you that. I was like, Kate, if you join, I know you're going to be successful. Yeah. It's not one of those things where I'm just saying this as a salesperson. Like, trust me, I know you're going to be successful with this. And the reason was you were already active in your community. So Platform wasn't going to be this like new thing for you where we tell you, hey, you need to start getting out and about in your community. Like, you were already doing a lot of the things that we teach our agents to do. So for you, it's more so a matter of, hey, she's already got a pretty good campfire going. Platform is just dumping fuel on that fire. We're going to like amplify the things you're already doing in real life and just get it more exposure by running paid, targeted, ads. But for a lot of agents, they're not yet super active in their community. They're not really involved, whatever, in kids' school or church or local charities or, your local chamber of commerce or various other networking things that you could be involved in your community. You are very active. You go out of your way to be visible in your community. Would you mind sharing just some of the things that you regularly do in your community that kind of like gets your name or gets your face out there?
Yeah, and also I'll let you know, I don't consider myself to be a very salesy person. I approach things more from, I'm providing you education, I'm giving you some advice and opinions. How is this going to work for you? I never wanted to be perceived as that agent. So for me, one thing that I found very important was to be where I already am. And I don't have to work very hard to use that as a way to be successful. It just happens. So I'm a part of our son's school, the Parents Club, which is like the PTO. I really try to support small businesses. It's crazy to think how much a small business appreciates you when you just go in there. You're expecting nothing from them. You're just saying, hey, I'm a realtor. I like to promote small businesses, and take a video and share it. They are so grateful for that. And when you go back in, they're telling you, oh, so-and-so came in because they saw your video. You're doing something for them that's invaluable. They may not have the time or the knowledge or whatever it is to be able to do that. So I was a part of the farmers market. We are big gardeners in my home, and I love that, but I don't have the space, if you will, or time to like be a vendor at the market. But one thing I did was I asked them if I could volunteer my time when they had events going on or whatever, and they were like, absolutely. So I will tell you, I've started getting clients from that. About 80% of my clients come from just things that they've seen me doing around town. It might be a referral from that. So yeah, just being where I already am. I'm involved with the kids. I'm involved with the small businesses. I try to help out when I can. I try to do donation drives for different organizations that we have going on. One thing I'll tell you is, before I joined Platform, I had some anxiety because I didn't want to have a bunch of leads and things like that I couldn't give 5-star service to. And that's one thing that is just really, really important to me. So I decided I was going to kind of start early, if you will. I signed on with platform, but didn't really actually start doing anything up until the last couple of weeks because I was working on implementing and streamlining my processes and follow up. And I've got a whole system now that's really automating things for me so that I don't get too overwhelmed. I can still spend that time with my family and such. But I wanted to do the God Made a Small Business Owner video. That was just really, really important to me because I was already so involved in supporting local businesses. So one thing that I did, I went on my page and I just asked people to share with me some of their favorite small businesses, why they love them so much. I let them know I had a project coming up, didn't give details. And I will tell you, I got in Milam County, which is, like I said, about 25,000 people, 103 different businesses. I didn't even know we have that many businesses here, but we do.
Wow. Yeah.
People
Yeah.
were direct messaging me, people were calling me. But I think, again, it's just a testament to relationships and networking, and that's what this business is, and how that relates so well to platform. Again, me being where I already am, I had business owners that I had never worked with, or maybe never even gone into their business before, calling me saying, I want to be part of this project. What do I have to do? So that authority surpasses more than just talking about real estate leads. You're really getting involved in your community. They want you to be involved in what they've got going on. So I just thought I'd share that because I thought it was really cool. I just kind of put that out there and they were already like, I have to be a part of this. Call me. When are you doing it? Obviously, I can't feature 103 businesses in that as much as I would love to, but that also gave me opportunity to know, hey, these are some businesses I can check out and support in the future. So
Yep.
it's just a
Yep.
revolving door of networking and relationships. And like I said, being where I already am. I didn't want to have to be cold calling or doing anything like that. I wanted to just be a source for the community. If they needed me, great. If they knew someone that needed me, great. And this is just the cherry on top for all of that.
Yeah. If you're already active in your community, so you're not having to like fake it on social media, like you're not faking it that, oh, I'm really active in the community, look at me,
Yeah.
because that can work to an extent. Like we have some clients honestly with platform that aren't super active in their community, and their ads help them fake it because it makes it
Yeah.
look like to the casual observer like, oh wow, they're out and about in the community, but honestly they're really not. And those people do not get near the results with platform
Hmm.
than someone does who actually is active in their community, and then they're using their social media advertising to just amplify that. Because I mean, just in a very specific, a very granular example, uh you might go to the farmers market and volunteer, help out, whatever. I mean, how many people are there on a given Saturday? 100 people, 200 people, 50 people? Like, let's just say it's a couple hundred, right?
Yeah.
If you were to take a simple selfie photo there and then you send that to your platform account manager, and then we set that up and we write a little essay about it as a retargeting ad, but it's a photo, like a selfie picture of you at the farmer's market. So it doesn't look like a professional paid ad. It's literally just a selfie photo taken on your cell phone. But we write something, about the farmer's market. We run that as an ad. Well, that might now be seen by 20,000 people. And
Yeah.
so you being there, maybe a couple hundred people saw you, but we can literally 100x the amplification. Like we're getting you 100 times as many people are now going to know that you're active and you're involved in the local farmers market because we ran a paid ad. The same thing is true if you're involved in your kid's school, a church, a local charity or organization that you're passionate about, things like Chamber of Commerce, whatever, right? If
Hmm.
if uh if you regularly go to a coffee shop or a bookstore in your community, right? A couple dozen people might see you there like, oh yeah, Kate's a regular here. But if
Yeah.
you now run an ad about it and now 20,000 people know, it just gives amplification to what's already true in your personal life. So if it's already true in your personal life and you're giving the platform ads team more like raw material to work with,
Yeah.
it makes all of the advertising you do way more authentic, and
Hmm.
people can feel when you're being authentic, and when you are, you win.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many different things that I do where I'm going out and I'm a realtor, but I'm not wearing the realtor shirt, if you will. I'm just going out and talking to people. Real estate doesn't even come up in conversation But if I tagged a business and they were there, or it was a certain community event and they saw that I tagged that event, then they see me, oh yeah, she is a realtor. Another funny thing is I got a comment on one of my videos not too long ago. Oh, it's Milam County's tour guide. And I was thinking, that's kind of cheesy, but I mean, it's nice to have people recognizing me as that and not just like she only sells real estate. I think it makes people feel much more like I'm much more approachable for them, and like they don't feel like they have a lot of pressure coming from me if they do want to start up that conversation about real estate. So yeah, it helps so much, and it makes it to where it's more fun for me. I get to kind of go out and live life, and I just happen to sell real estate, and they know who to come to whenever that time is right for them.
Yeah, that's one of the most probably underreported benefits of doing this platform style marketing is that it just makes your career more fun. You
Yeah.
know, like uh especially if we're in a slower market like we have been in the last couple of years in in real estate where it's just tough sledding. Interest rates are
Hmm.
high. Not as many people are out wanting to buy or sell as they were in 2021, right? It can kind of get depressing some months where it's like, man, it's been tough, or I had a closing fall through, or I had multiple closings fall through, or I just have nothing in my pipeline, or it's been a frustrating time for a lot of agents over the last year. But when you can do interesting, creative local marketing like this, it makes it fun again. And it gives you kind of that endurance and that perseverance. Like, you know what? Even if I didn't get a closing this month, I'm having fun promoting my business. So in the meantime, while I build up that pipeline again and while I build up the personal brand, at least I'm having fun again. So I
Yeah.
can see myself doing this long term where I'm not just going to give up after a month or two of, slow business. Like that does matter over the long term, that you at least in a certain sense, you might not enjoy every day or every conversation you have to have, because obviously there's a lot of awkward, difficult conversations realtors have to have with clients and whatnot. But overall, if you enjoy what you do, you're going to be a lot more successful at it over the long term than someone who doesn't enjoy what they're doing.
Yeah, it's kind of honestly, it feels kind of like cheating the system. My daughter, she's 17, and since I got licensed, she comes with me. She wants to get her license, wants to dabble in photography, and so she's the one behind the camera usually when I'm doing a video or something. And we just have so much fun with this process. I'm going to probably have to have Emily do some kind of like blooper reel because we are just laughing so much, having such a good time. And it's like you're cheating the system, even when you're going out and talking with different businesses and things like that, because you're working, but it doesn't feel like you're working. And somehow people are still coming to you. I have several friends that are new agents, and they talk to me, well, I need to get more leads. I need to do this. I need to do that. And they struggle a lot when I'm like, just go out and be in your community. Just go out, be where you already are. Your child plays baseball. Like, go talk to the parents, sponsor the team, volunteer your time. Those are things, they're places you're already at. It includes your children. Like, have fun with that. And that's kind of a mental block that I think a lot of agents have to get past, is the networking relationship part of things and how that really returns. I mean, it just keeps on growing and growing and growing. But yeah, it's like I'm cheating the system here. I'm just having so much dang fun. I'm not having to sit in front of the computer all day long and everything. And the business is coming to me. I'm not having to go out and try to capture people or bug them, if you
Yep.
will. Yeah.
Yeah, like how you live your life is the best marketing there is, and
Hmm.
no marketing plan can overcome if you're living a boring life and you're not active in your community. No
Yeah.
amount of advertising can really cover that up. It actually reminds me of a quote from I think it's like a Catholic saint, actually, from like 1,000 or 2,000 years ago, something like that. It's a Saint Francis of Assisi said, "Preach the gospel at all times, but when necessary, use words."
Hmm.
And so it's kind of like a tongue-in-cheek way of saying, like, it's really how you live your life that matters if you're preaching the gospel, because people won't listen to you when you actually talk about your faith or whatever if
Yeah.
the way that you live your life isn't already communicating that. And obviously that's a religious example, but it absolutely is also true in marketing, that It's preach the gospel at all times, when necessary use words. What that looks like as a real estate agent is be involved, like you said, with your kid's baseball team. Like, it's crazy that you would have a kid playing baseball and you don't sponsor the team. Or
Yeah.
it's crazy you might have a kid playing baseball or a daughter playing softball or soccer or volleyball or whatever, and you're not at every game. Like,
Yeah.
you should be at every game, A, because you want to see your kid play, but B, because every time people see you in public, they get that subtle reminder of, oh, that's right, that's Kate, she's the realtor,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And so if you take pictures at your kid's game and we use those in retargeting ads, then we're actually using words and we're using advertising to fuel it. But like, we can't do that if you're not actually at the game, or if you're not going to the farmer's market, like you mentioned, or you're not involved in the community. You're really hampering your ability to get results with marketing if we have nothing interesting to promote, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And, work the concession stand. If you're already going to be at the softball game, work the concession stand. You're going to have conversation with 20, 30, however many people that day. You don't have to have a conversation with them about real estate, but them just seeing your face, you're nice and friendly, you're helpful, oh, your son is number 12, he's doing a great job. People value that. They want to be heard and seen, even in those smaller moments, uh, and I tell people too, you don't have to be a people person. You don't have to have these crazy skills with engaging with people. Just be authentic. Have conversations with them. The real estate part will come later, and it always does. But platform, being able to have that, they're seeing that over and over and over and over and over. That's doing all the work for you. So if you're involved in your community and you're doing those things, it's going to pay off. Platform is just going to highlight that even more.
Yeah, go live an interesting life in
Yeah.
your community. Be involved in your community. And then I just explained statistically how platform can amplify that by 100 times,
Mm-hmm.
with the retargeting ad. If 200 people see you at the farmer's market, we can probably get 20,000 people to see the ad of you there. But the ad
Yeah.
will never happen if you're not doing things like actually going to a farmer's market or going to your son's baseball game, so you have to actually live an interesting life in your community for the marketing to really work. And so I wanted to ask you also, Kate, again, I know you're only 2 weeks into your platform journey. So, I mean, it's almost premature to ask this because you just got started 2 weeks ago, but have you had anyone tell you in real life, like, oh, I saw your post about this, or I saw your picture, I saw that video? Has anyone actually mentioned in real life that they saw any of the Facebook ads that we've been running?
Yes, the stop sign one, and the dollar. Your how I cannot remember what it's called, but the one about your dollar and how it's spent locally. Those are two that I have
Okay,
had
yep.
direct conversations with people about, and they love it. They're it's something that they're wanting to share. It's something that they're wanting to talk about. It hits home for them. They've got paychecks to write for other people, or they've got friends that are business owners. So yeah, those are the two that those have been huge, and those I think were the first ones that really went out. Yeah, I mean those ones are the cool ones. And I mean I'm just getting into it and it's been so fun so far. I know I'm able to have a little bit more creativity because now I'm not having to work so hard to actually push this out myself. I can be, having a little bit more fun. So to see where it's going to go is insane. I told Diana when she asked me if I would do this, I was like, I will, but I want to be able to come back later because I don't half-ass
Yeah, yeah,
anything. And
yeah.
when I committed to this, I was like, even if I think they tell me to do something and it seems silly, like the ducks in a row, I'm excited for it. It seems silly. It's just not something that I would have really thought to do. But I'm like, I'm going to do it because they know what they're talking about and it works. And that full commitment, I'm really excited to see what happens. So I can't imagine. And it's just tons of fun. It's so fun.
Yeah. Again, you're 2 weeks in to platform and you already have people telling you in real life, oh, I saw that ad, I loved it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we have clients where that takes 4 months or 6 months to have that first conversation with someone where they bring up one of their ads. And so the fact that
Yeah.
it's already happening within your very first month is really cool. And that's what makes me think you're probably going to be one of the greatest success stories all time of any platform agent ever in like the 10-year history of the company. So that's super cool. I will definitely have to have you on the show again, maybe in maybe in 6 months, maybe in a year, once you've had platform under your belt for a full year and you see the results, because I don't even know where your business is going to be a year from now at the current rate you're going. Like, it's actually almost impossible to project how much more money you'll be making and how many more deals you'll be doing a year from
Yeah.
now, because you're already seeing the results in your, 14 days into platform. So final question for you, Kate. What would you tell someone who might be listening to this show who is thinking about hiring platform? They're not quite sure. They're nervous, like you were nervous. Obviously, you mentioned that you were coming up with all these reasons why it probably didn't make sense to hire platform, and the reasons were honestly pretty logical
Mm-hmm.
of why you're like, hey, I can probably do this on my own. I don't need platform. Now that you've seen the results you've seen with it early on, like, what would your perspective be if someone's listening to this and maybe they're in the same situation you were in a month ago, where you were kind of thinking about it, but you didn't quite know if it made sense to take the leap?
Well, what's so funny about this is I just had this conversation in real life because my friend, who's also a broker with my brokerage, she just signed on to take on the market area next to me. And she had the exact same questions that I had, and I told her, just do it. And one of her biggest concerns was the money. And I think as real estate agents, it's hard to remember sometimes that we are business owners. If you had a business in a storefront or anything like that, you would be spending marketing dollars. And so when she started talking about the money, I said, get your notebook out, start doing your numbers. How many transactions do you have to have in order to break even on this every month? And do you think that's something you can actually do? Just do it. Don't question it. You just have to put both feet in. That's exactly what I said to her. You don't start questioning something if you have a good feeling about it. And I think it's really hard not to have a good feeling about it after the conversation that I had with you and Diana. I have alarms going off if I can tell someone's trying to sell me something. And y'all did not try to do that at all. You're very confident in your product. I also might have snuck and gave Heather Mutz a call. So I was like asking her kind of what her concerns were. And that's another thing I said to my friend. I was like, you call some of the other agents, check on it, let them talk to you about it. Don't have any doubts, just do it. Put both feet in and just do it. You have nothing to lose. And I also think just committing 100% to it, don't half-ass it, get in there, do the videos. There's no excuse not to. I also personally had a fear, well, what if I get too busy? I've got 3 kids. One of them is about to be a year old, and transitionally the last couple of years in my life, there's been a lot going on. So I had a fear of, well, what if I have all these leads I can't take care of? You'll figure it out. Get your systems in place. Talk to the other agents that are doing it. Just do it. Don't wait, because these market areas are going to get taken up quick. And it's something that even if someone else tried to duplicate, they can't. You've just got to do it. There's no questioning it.
You actually brought up a really good point of, like, how many homes would you have to sell for this to make sense? And it's actually a nice round number. I tell people, you have broken even on platform if platform just helps you sell $1 million of homes a year.
Mm-hmm.
That's what platform costs, with both the platform fee as well as all the ad spend of what, like whatever you'll spend on the actual ads. If it just grows your business by $1 million a year in a sales volume, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's more than paid for itself.
Yeah.
And so it's like, if we do all that marketing for you, and like 100,000 people a month are seeing your ads, which most of our clients, that's what the number ends up being, is something around there, where like 100,000 people a month are seeing their platform ads.
Mm-hmm.
If which is obviously over 1 million people a year, right? So it's
Yeah.
like, if you think 100,000 people a month or over 1 million people a year seeing your ads would not result in you selling at least $1 million more of sales volume, it's like, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you should
Yeah.
find a new job. Like, if
Yeah.
that amount of advertising doesn't give you the confidence that you would sell at least 1 million more of sales volume, keeping in mind we're having this conversation that you've only been with platform officially for 2 weeks now, and you've already almost grown by 3 million in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
If 1 million in a full year doesn't seem like it's realistic, like, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you shouldn't be a real estate agent. Like, maybe you need to find a different career if you don't think that level of exposure would translate into into business. But obviously in the short term, it all comes down to people are scared about spending money on ads, and they don't think of it like that. Like they don't think of
Yeah.
it in terms of, oh, well, it's just $1 million, of sales
Yeah.
volume, which is not a lot, right? But it just emotionally feels like a lot of money if the market is slow. You know,
Yeah.
you said it perfectly, Kate. That sometimes real estate agents forget that they're business owners,
Hmm.
and business owners should be investing money into marketing.
Yeah. I think too, I'm a big mindset person. I truly believe that you have to ask yourself questions. You have to look in the mirror and be very honest with yourself. Are you giving it everything you have? I know in real estate it takes time to create boundaries with your schedule and kind of get everything all lined up. But I feel like if you're truly giving it 100%, you will see the results of it. I think it's just maybe it's karma or whatever it is that you want to call it. So I feel like if you just have that mindset going into it that you're not going to fail, you're not going to allow yourself to fail, you won't fail. The only way to fail is just to give up. You may have a month where it's not performing as well as you hoped it would. Maybe the market's in a really bad place. Who knows? But you're still putting that energy out into the world that's going to come back to you in some way or another. And one thing I didn't mention that is huge value for me is I'm a person that likes to be skin in the game, connected with other people, and Platform also has the Facebook group, and that's amazing to know that I'm going to get to go to this cool mastermind coming up at the end of the year. There are a lot of like-minded people. So if you're struggling with the mindset part on your own, you at least have the support of the fam in the group where everyone is like-minded. Everybody wants to grow. Maybe they have some reservations, but they're helping each other work through that. And hopefully you're surrounding yourself with people like that anyway in your everyday life. But if that's something you don't have, that's something Platform's going to offer to you. And you can't put a price on that kind of value. You just have to do it. Believe in yourself, believe in the process. I mean, one thing I did was I took a screenshot and I can't remember the agent, but it was in one of the Platform ads. And it was saying like their first year they did $1 million. Their second year they did 3 million. And it just kept adding on after that. And so I screenshot that because if I ever have a day where I'm feeling a little bit discouraged, I can look at that and it may not look like things are going perfect in that exact moment, but that overall trajectory is huge. Like that's a crazy huge difference. So people got to do it,
Yep.
that's
Yep.
the only thing I can say. Just do it.
People always overestimate the results they can create in the short term, and they
Hmm.
underestimate the results they can create in the long term. So,
Yeah.
Kate, would you mind sharing your cell phone number in case there's any agent listening to this who wants to give you a call and just pick your brain about Platform the way that you did with Heather when you were thinking of signing up?
Yes, y'all write this down. It's 979-224-1450.
Cool. Kate, thank you for your time, and I'm looking forward to meeting you in person at the Platform Mastermind later this year.
Yes, I can't wait, and I'll hope to come back for another episode soon.
Thanks, Kate.
Thank you.